Story name: Silent Ward. In a small town in Illinois, America, there was an old hospital, St. Mercy Medical Center. It was closed down after a massive fire ripped through the building in the late 1980s. But the real story of the hospital was not the fire. The townspeople used to tell stories about strange sounds. The sound of crying coming from within the walls of the deserted hospital. The movement of invisible patients at night. And that mysterious room, Ward 7B. Anyone who entered would never return. For a long time. But a 33-year-old YouTuber, he had only a camera, a flashlight, and a drone. He entered the hospital at night to record something for his scary video series on YouTube. Jason did not expect much. He expected to see dust. As soon as he broke a window and entered the hospital, it was like time itself had stopped here. He could hear the wind blowing outside. The silence was heavy all around the hospital. He saw graffiti on the walls, but one sign kept coming up. A red eye drawn in a certain way. The eye seemed to stare back at him, judging him as if it had been waiting for him to arrive. Jason wandered around, taking pictures and videos for his YouTube channel. As he climbed to the second floor, all the electronics failed. Only his flashlight was working, but even that light flickered ominously when he reached Ward 7B. Jason felt a sudden chill. The air grew colder, and the sound of his own breathing echoed in his ears. The door to the ward was half open, as if inviting him in. Jason pushed it open and stepped inside. It was like walking into a refrigerator. Strangely, while the other rooms were dilapidated and showed clear signs of decay, this ward seemed almost untouched. The beds were neatly made. The medical equipment gleamed as if recently polished, and the windows were spotless. Not a single speck of dust covered anything in the room. Don't you? And at the foot of each bed, Jason noticed a name written in black and a bed tag. The name was Thorn, but then Jason spotted a bed tag at the end of the ward. Jason immediately felt a shiver crawl up his spine. He tried to shake off the feeling, telling himself it was just a coincidence. But as he continued exploring the ward, things only got stranger. Jason remembered hearing a lullaby playing softly in the distance when he entered the ward. Now he heard it again, closer this time, like someone was humming it right beside him. But when he turned around, at one point, Jason looked into a mirror hanging on the wall and saw 7 patients standing behind him. They wore white gowns, and their eyes were blank and soulless. Their faces were blurred, their features indistinguishable. Jason could feel their gaze boring into him. Turning around slowly, he found no one. The patients had vanished. Fear tightened its grip on Jason's heart. He wanted to run, to get out of there, but his legs felt heavy, like anchors dragging him down. He wanted to scream, but his voice caught in his throat, a strangled cry of terror dying on his lips. Suddenly, the corridor behind him seemed to shift. The graffiti-covered walls replaced by pristine white ones. The place seemed to belong to a different era, a time when the hospital was still in operation. Panic surged through Jason. This wasn't right. He stumbled back. It clanged to the floor, the sound echoing in the unnerving silence. When he stood up, he realized the room he had just been in was gone. The Ward 7B sign hung on the wall like a warning, but the door was now solid, unadorned, featureless. It was as if it had never been there. Struggling to control his breathing, he descended the stairs. But wherever he went, he kept ending up, back at the same ward. 7B. The door was always there, taunting him, yet leading him nowhere. It was as if the hospital itself was trying to keep him trapped, to hold him there against his will. Desperation clawed at Jason's throat. He needed to escape, to get away from this nightmare. Turning on his camera, if anyone finds this, I don't know if this is a dream or a nightmare, but it knows my name. His words echoed in the vast emptiness of the hospital, swallowed by the oppressive silence. He turned the camera toward the ominous door. "I'm scared," he whispered, his voice cracking with fear. "I just want to go home." But his plea was lost in the suffocating stillness. Then Jason turned the camera towards himself, his face pale and drawn in the flickering light. "If I disappear," he said, his voice trembling, "please, don't forget me." The last thing Jason saw before everything went black was the Ward 7B door, the red eye staring back at him, a cruel mockery of his terror. The next morning, Jason's car was found parked next to the hospital, his bag left on the seat. The drone was there too. Everything except Jason. The police searched the area, but there was no sign of him, no trace of what happened to the missing youth. It was as if he had simply evaporated into thin air. 3 weeks later, someone returned to the hospital. On the wall next to the Ward 7B door, below it, a message was scrawled. "Another thorn has arrived. It's been years since then, but no one dares look at the door of Ward 7B ever again."